Today we shall discuss about the VACPR repulsions first. VACPR repulsions. In our previous class, in our previous video, we have discussed the hybridization state and the structure of the different molecules. And that was according to the VBT, valence bond theory. Now there are different types of repulsions occurs in case of a compound explaining by the valence bond theory, and these repulsions are called the valence shell electron pair repulsion. Valence shell electron pair repulsions. There are three types of repulsion. In case of methane molecule, you know that this is a tetrahedral structure. In case of methane molecule, there are only one type of repulsion. There is only one type of repulsion, and all these are bond pair. So all these bonds are bond pair, and therefore only bond pair repulsion occurs here. Bond pair repulsion, because the bonding orbitals are fulfilled by the repulsion occurs here. The bonding orbitals are fulfilled by the two electrons, and hence each and every bond pair contains two electrons. So these two electrons repel each other. Therefore, a repulsion occurs in between the bonding electron pair, and that's why they generally form a particular shape in a three-dimensional space due to the presence of this electronic repulsion. And according to this VBT, the shape is called in different form, like sp hybridized forms a linear shape, sp2 planar triangular shape, sp3 tetrahedral shape, etc. and so on. So that is due to the presence of only bond pair repulsion. But there are different type of repulsions also, like in case of water molecule or ammonia molecule. Like first, in case of ammonia molecule, we know that with the bond pair there is also present a lone pair over the nitrogen atom. In ammonia molecule there is also a lone pair over the nitrogen atom, and here also the bond pair repulsion takes place. Bond pair repulsion takes place because these two bonds are filled by the electron pair. So bond pair repulsion also takes place here also. But also a lone pair contains, and lone pair is over the nitrogen atom, solely over the central atom, and that's why it is located nearer to the central atom. So a greater amount of repulsion occurs due to the presence of lone pair repulsion, due to the presence of a lone pair over the central atom. This is called lone pair repulsion, which is greater than that of bond pair, because bond pair is somewhat diffused with respect to the central atom. So suppose this is the central atom, here, and these two are the bonding electron pairs. So the bonding electron pairs are in between two nuclei, and hence not located nearer to the nucleus of the central atom, rather it is diffused with respect to the central atom. So the difference between two bond pair is somewhat greater as compared to the lone pair. Now lone pair is located over the central atom, hence nearer to the nucleus of the central atom, and that's why the lone pair bond pair distance is less as compared to the bond pair distance. So the lone pair bond pair distance is smaller, and that's why repulsion is greater. So lone pair bond pair repulsion is more than that of the bond pair repulsion. That's why the bond angle becomes somewhat less. So for each lone pair, bond angle generally decreases by 2.5 degree. So here the bond angle was approx 109 degree 28 minute. Here the bond angle is approx 107 degree. But in case of water molecule, there are two lone pairs over the central atom oxygen. So in presence of bond pair repulsion, here the bond pair repulsion presents, as well as lone pair repulsion also presents, as well as lone pair repulsion also presents, which is the lone pair repulsion, which is the maximum among all these three types of repulsion. So there are three types of repulsion actually occur in case of VACPR repulsion theory, VACPR theory actually. One is the lone pair, which is the maximum, then lone pair, which is less than that of lone pair, and that is less than that of bond pair. So bond pair repulsion is the least, and hence the bond angle is the maximum here. So for each lone pair, the bond angle decreases by 2.5 degree. So in this case, the bond angle becomes near about So in case of ammonia 107, so 107 minus 2.5 near about 104.5 degree, 104.5 degree. So this is the reason for which the bond angle decreases due to the presence of these type of electronic pair repulsions, lone pair bond pair, bond pair repulsion. These are all about the VSEPR pair repulsion theory. So thanks. Now I am discussing about the polarity in covalent compounds. Polarity in covalent, what does it mean? Polarity. Suppose hydrogen molecule, there are two atoms of hydrogen. So the central atom is hydrogen here in both these atoms, as both these atoms have hydrogen. So the electron pair is equally distributed in between two nuclei, as both the atoms have equal electronegativity. So this nucleus attracts the electron pair towards itself. This nucleus also attracts this electron pair towards itself, as both the atoms are same. So electron pair is situated in between two nuclei, not towards the left hand side hydrogen atom nor towards the right hand side hydrogen atom. So that is the electron density is distributed in between two nuclei equally, and such type of molecule is called the non-polar molecule, because they do not generate any pole on themselves. So this will be the non-polar molecule, like this Cl2, O2, N2, all these are non-polar molecules. But if one hydrogen atom is replaced by the chlorine atom, suppose. Now we know that chlorine being more electronegative in nature, chlorine drags the electron density, bonding electron pair towards it, and hence the electron density not in between the nuclei, equal distance from the H and Cl nuclei, but somewhat shifted towards the chlorine atom. Somewhat it is shifted towards the chlorine atom. And that's why chlorine is slightly negative charge occupies over it, slightly electronegative in nature, and that's why hydrogen also possesses some positive charge over it, which is denoted by the del positive. So del negative, del positive, not discrete ion forms in this case, but a pole generates over the chlorine atom as well as over the hydrogen atom, del positive over the hydrogen and del negative over the chlorine. So two poles are generated, and that's why such type of molecules are called dipolar molecule. Rather we can say such type of molecules are polar molecule. So this is the actual cause for the generation of the polarity in a covalent bond. Now the conditions, which molecule can be polar, the conditions of the polarity. Now conditions of non-polarity, rather I can say that these are the conditions of non-polarity. So if or whenever the two conditions which I shall write here, so these two conditions, if or whenever these two conditions are fulfilled, if these two conditions are fulfilled, then the compound will be non-polar. Otherwise, if any one of these is filled by the central atom, then that will be polar. So suppose the first condition is condition of non-polarity is number one: central atom must not contain any lone pair over it. This is the first condition of non-polarity. And second, central atom must be attached or bonded with same atom, not the central atom but same atom. Like in case of CO2, we know that the hybridization state of carbon is half into 4 plus 0, that means 2, that means sp hybridized. So the structure is linear. To fulfill the bond, I have already told that to fulfill the bond, pi bond will be incorporated. So to fulfill this valency, so C double bond O double bond O. This is the structure of the CO2 molecule, which is linear. So carbon doesn't contain any lone pair over it because all the tetravalence is fulfilled. Again, must be attached with the same atom. See that both the atoms are same. Both the atoms are oxygen. So this is a non-polar molecule. We can also calculate the non-polarity due to the presence of dipole moment in equal but in opposite direction. Suppose this is mu1, suppose this is mu1. So both are same. That's why mu equal to resultant equal to mu1 plus minus mu1, and that's why this will be 0. So it is a non-polar molecule. CO2 is a non-polar molecule. By actually explaining these two particular point, we can explain whether the molecule is polar or non-polar. Now I am explaining the polarity in BF3 molecule. We know that the central atom is boron here because larger in size and higher in valency. So the hybridization state of boron in BF3 molecule is half. The valence shell contains 3 electrons and X is 3 here. So 6 by 2, that means 3, that means sp2 hybridized. The structure is planar triangular. Boron here is the central atom and the 3 sides of a triangle are fulfilled by the 3 fluorine atom. Now let the dipole moment shown by the fluorine is mu1 because it is more electronegative, so it drags the electron density from the boron. Again this will be denoted by mu1, again this will be denoted by mu1. Now say these two mu1, the resultant between these two dipole moment, the resultant between these two dipole moment is denoted by mu here. Now the bond angle, we know that bond angle is 120 degree. Therefore mu equal to root over of, we know that vector analysis, mu1 square plus mu1 square plus 2 into mu1 into cos 120 degree. Therefore root over of 2 mu1 square plus 2 into mu1 square into cos 120 degree means minus 1 by 2. Therefore root over of 2 mu1 square, 2 cancel, so minus mu1 square, that means root over of mu1 square, that means mu1. So mu equal to mu1, and this mu1 is cancelled by this mu1, and hence the total dipole moment of BF3 molecule is 0 because these two are cancelled by each other. Hence this is the polarity in the BF3 molecule. Now I am discussing about how we can calculate the dipole moment of a molecule. Now dipole moment of a molecule, suppose AB is a molecule and the electron density not at the middle position, rather it is somewhat shifted towards the B, because suppose B is more electronegative than that of A, so it is somewhat shifted towards the B, and this displacement is measured by D. Suppose D angstrom, its displacement is D angstrom, electron is somewhat shifted. Now the dipole moment mu is equal to charge into displacement. Now charge E is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. In SI unit it is 1.6 10 to the minus 19 coulomb, and the displacement D angstrom, that means D into 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So D into 10 to the power minus 10 meter. This is the angstrom unit, 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Now, so this is actually the unit, SI unit in of the dipole moment, kilometer. But if we express this in a different unit, SI unit, instead of SI unit, if we express this in CGS unit, then instead of coulomb, we can write that 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 10. This is the ESU, electrostatic unit, and 1 angstrom is equal to D into 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter. So the unit is ESU centimeter. In CGS unit, this is ESU centimeter. But we know that 10 to the power minus 18 ESU centimeter is called the 1 dBi, under the name of the scientist who discovered the dipole moment. This is 1 dBi. So therefore mu is equal to 4.8 into D dBi, where D is the displacement of the electron towards a particular more electronegative atom in angstrom unit. Now suppose this displacement, suppose the bond length between AB bond length is equal to suppose 0.92 angstrom, and the actual dipole moment observed, इसको कहते हैं dipole moment observed. This is called the observed dipole moment of a particular molecule. Actual dipole moment of the molecule is equal to, we have assumed that 1.9 dBi. Now if the total electron density is shifted towards the more electronegative atom, first we have assumed that total electron density shifted towards the more electronegative atom, and hence it generates A plus and B minus ions, cation and anion. Complete displacement of the electron or complete transfer of electron takes place. So the dipole moment becomes 4.8 into, here D is 0.92 dBi. This is the calculated dipole moment, but not the observed dipole moment. Now, if this dipole moment occurs, 4.8, 0.92 dBi dipole moment occurs, then the compound becomes 100% ionic. That means the 100% ionic character occurs. But the actual dipole moment, observed dipole moment is 1.9 dBi. So in that case, the ionic character becomes 1.9 by 4.8 into 0.92 into 100. This is the ionic character. So we can find out the ionic character in a covalent bond by using this particular formula, mu calculated. Mu observed first. Mu observed divided by, this part is called the mu calculated, into 100. This is the percentage ionic character. Through which you can find out the ionic character in a covalent compound. And the covalent character in ionic compound can be obtained by Fajans rule. So these are all about the calculation of the dipole moment of a particular compound. Our next part is hydrogen bond. Now what is hydrogen bond? If or whenever hydrogen is directly or covalently attached with either of these three, like suppose B, either of these three elements, fluorine, oxygen or nitrogen. So B is nothing but either of these three elements. Form, rather we can find out this name, fluorine, oxygen or nitrogen. So if or whenever hydrogen is directly attached with suppose fluorine, and we know that these three elements are highly electronegative in nature and they are the topper in their group, so topmost element of their group. That's why their size is very small. So due to their very high electronegativity and very small in size, they drag the electron density towards it and occupies very strong del negative charge over it. So, and hence hydrogen occupies del positive charge over it. Now hydrogen, we know that the smallest element among all the elements observed in periodic table. So the charge occupies del positive. Due to the presence of either of these three elements, the positive charge over the hydrogen atom is very high. Therefore, the charge density over the hydrogen atom becomes very high. And due to very high charge density, it attracts the total charge of the positive charge over the hydrogen atom, attracts the negative pole of the second molecule, like this, negative pole of the second molecule, and hence an intermolecular force of attraction operates, which is stronger than that of any other van der Waals force of attraction. So due to the presence of a very strong attraction, because we know that hydrogen is the smallest, hence its charge density becomes very high. These elements are very small in size, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, they are the topmost element of their group, and hence they are very high charge density. So in between these two poles, a very strong interaction occurs, and this interaction is actually nothing but due to the presence of very strong interaction between these two, actually it behaves like a covalent bond. So such type of covalent bond, it behaves but doesn't exist. No bond exists because hydrogen fulfills its balancing with fluorine. So it behaves like a covalent bond, and such type of interaction is called the hydrogen bond. Such type of interactions. But hydrogen bonds are generally two types. One is intermolecular, and the other is intramolecular. Intermolecular means in between different molecules, like HF, etc. and so on, in between different molecules, like water. In case of water, there are two lone pairs attracted by the positive pole of the water molecule. It will be del negative, so it is attracted by the positive pole of the second water molecule. It is del positive, it is attracted by the negative pole of the next water molecule, etc. and so on. It is also attached with the negative pole of the next molecule. So these are the examples of intermolecular hydrogen bond. But in case of paranitrophenol or orthonitrophenol, if we consider the steam volatility of the orthonitrophenol, this is the phenol structure and this is the nitro group. This is the nitro group. Now the hydrogen when directly attached with the oxygen atom, now this hydrogen can form hydrogen bond del positive and this oxygen del negative, so they can form hydrogen bond in between themselves in a particular molecule, and such type of hydrogen bond is called the intramolecular because it exists inside the molecule. So this is the example of intramolecular hydrogen bond. These are the examples of intermolecular hydrogen bond. As in case of intermolecular hydrogen bond, association of the molecule takes place. Association of the molecules takes place. So molecules takes place. So association of the molecules takes place. Hence, the bond dissociation enthalpy is somewhat greater than that of such type of molecule. So intermolecular hydrogen bond is generally stronger than that of intermolecular hydrogen bond. So intramolecular hydrogen bond is weaker. These are actually weaker than that of such type of intermolecular hydrogen bond. So intermolecular hydrogen bond, the molecule forms have higher boiling point, the effect of hydrogen bond. Now we can say the effect of hydrogen bond. So effects, these are the effects. Effects is number one, boiling point increases. Boiling point increases with the association of the water molecule, the association of HM molecule, etc. and so on, where intermolecular hydrogen bond exists. The boiling point increases because to dissociate this linkage require greater amount of energy, heat energy, and that's why boiling point will be increased. And second, solubility increases. Suppose alcohol molecule ROH is the general molecular formula of alcohol, and it can form because hydrogen it is attached with the oxygen here, so this hydrogen can form hydrogen bond with the water molecule. So interaction between solute alcohol and solvent water increases, so solute solvent interaction increases, and that's why solubility increases. So hydrogen bond affects actually both these, boiling point increases as well as solubility in water increases. Now I am explaining the limitations of VBT. Though VBT explains clearly the structure, the shape of different molecules on the basis of VSEPR, but it cannot explain the magnetic property of oxygen molecule. This is the first limitation of valence bond theory. Second, suppose one hydrogen atom combines with other hydrogen atom to form hydrogen molecule through such type of overlap. This is the hydrogen molecule. So these two are the atomic orbitals and this is the molecular orbital. Now two atomic orbitals, because we know that each and every atomic orbital has some amount of energy possessed with themselves, and that's why two atomic orbitals when combined to form only one molecular orbital, the total energy sum up in case of molecular orbital. So the molecular energy of the molecular orbital will be increased. Hence, energy of the molecular orbital is greater than that of atomic orbital, and we know that with the increase of the energy, stability decreases. So H2 molecule must be somewhat less stable than that of hydrogen atom, but actually H2 is more stable than that of hydrogen atom. So through this VBT we cannot explain the stability of the hydrogen molecule or rather any other covalent molecule. If we assume that the molecular orbital contains somewhat lower energy, because it is more stable, we know that hydrogen molecule is more stable than that of this because it fulfills its doublet in the valence shell than that of atomic orbital, it is more stable. So its energy is somewhat less than that of atomic orbital. Now where the excess energy goes, we know that this type of reaction is not the exothermic in all the cases during the formation of any type of element or compound, not the heat energy only released. Not all the reactions are exothermic in nature. There are some reactions which are endothermic, so it cannot be explained by the VBT. So these are the limitations of valence bond theory. These are the limitations of valence bond theory. Now I am explaining the MOT, molecular orbital theory, given by the Hund and Mulliken. Given by Hund and Mulliken to explain the covalent molecule, formation of covalent molecule in modern concept. Psi1 and Psi2. Let we have assumed these two are the atomic orbitals. This is the method linear combination of atomic orbital. Suppose Psi1 and Psi2 are two atomic orbitals. Psi actually the function which indicates the atomic orbital. So Psi1 and Psi2 when combined, they form two types of molecular orbitals. These are the molecular orbitals, Psi bonding and Psi anti-bonding. These two are the molecular orbital. Now Psi bonding can be formed by the combination of Psi1, Psi A plus Psi B. How it can form? Because through this combination a constructive interference occurs. Constructive interference occurs. How it occurs? This is the picture through which constructive interference occurs. Suppose Psi1 has such type of lobe, SS interaction, such type of lobe. So due to the constructive interference, the orbital diagram, molecular orbital diagram is like this. This is the SS bonding molecular orbital. But if Psi A minus Psi B, that means the destructive interference occurs. If the destructive interference occurs, then the orbital will be like this. Hence, this is the anti-bonding orbital. This is called the anti-bonding orbital. No bond forms in between two orbitals. Such type of interaction occurs if. So, this is the expression of the Psi A plus Psi B, where the constructive interference occurs. The electron density in between two nuclei is maximum. Here, the electron density in between two nuclei is minimum. If pp overlap occurs, in case of pp overlap, if the bonding orbital, that means constructive interference occurs, then such type of interaction forms such type of MO, molecular orbital, where the plus is, suppose this is minus, this is plus, this is plus, this is minus. So electron density in between these two is very high. But if the destructive interference occurs, then such type of lobe occurs. Suppose this is plus, this is minus. Again, this is plus, this is minus. So lobe with opposite charge come nearer to each other, hence no bond forms. This is called the anti-bonding orbital. So such type of orbital occurs in case of bonding and in case of anti-bonding. If pi orbital forms, suppose in case of pi orbital, if pi bonding orbital occurs, then due to the presence of 2 pi orbital, 2p orbital on the, suppose px, this is also px, on the perpendicular axis with respect to this, if it forms the bonding molecular orbital, then the structure will be like this. This is the sigma bonded plane. This is the sigma bonded plane. This is plus, this is plus, this is minus, minus. Plus or minus indicates only the electron density. So here also the negative charge, that means the sign of the electron. So this is the bonding molecular orbital. This is the sigma bonded electron plane. Sigma bond plane. And if the anti-bonding orbital forms in between these two, how it forms? Because if or whenever the orbitals are like this, when they come into the contact with the formation due to the formation of bond, then the lobe is like this, minus plus. Then the anti-bonding orbital forms. How it forms? This is the formation of anti-bonding orbital. This is the lobe minus, this is the lobe plus, because they are out of phase with respect to each other, and hence no such type of bond forms in between these two nuclei. Hence this is the anti-bonding pi orbital. That means it is denoted by the pi star, it is denoted by pi. This is the pi bonding, this is the pi star anti-bonding. So this is the basic form of the MO theory. This is the actually energy profile diagram of the MO theory. All these are the actually atomic orbitals. These are the atomic orbitals. Atomic orbitals, linear combination of atomic orbital form, these are the molecular orbitals. Now 1s and 1s, these two orbital forms two different molecular orbital. One is the bonding, lower energy, average energy level, this is decreased, and this is the called the sigma 1s bonding. This is increased, and that's why the energy is increased. So anti-bonding orbital, sigma star 1s anti-bonding. This is sigma 2s, lowering the energy level from the average energy level. Energy level is lowered. This is sigma 2s, sigma star 2s. This is anti-bonding. Now 2p, there are three orbitals, 2px, 2py and 2pz. First is sigma 2px. Second is pi 2py and pi 2pz. These two are the pi bond. These are the pi star level. Pi star 2py, pi star, because the energy degenerated. These two orbitals have same energy, 2py, 2pz. Let we have assumed that the sigma bond forms along the x-axis. So sigma 2px, pi 2py, pi 2pz. This is the pi star 2py, pi star 2pz, and this is the sigma star 2px. Now the sequence is like this. Sigma 1 is the lowest energy orbital full fast, because Auerbach principle, Hund's rule of maximum velocity and Pauli's exclusion, all these three rules are obeyed in case of molecular orbital theory. So sigma 1 is full fast, then sigma star 1 is, then sigma 2s, then sigma star 2s, then pi sigma 2px, then pi 2py, pi 2pz, then pi star 2py, pi star 2pz. These two, pi 2py, pi 2pz, have equal energy level, degenerate orbital. Pi star also have equal energy level, pi star 2py to pi star 2pz, and last sigma star 2px. So this is the sequence, but this sequence is maintained if or whenever z, the total atomic number of the two atoms, sum total of the atomic number is greater than 14. But if it is, that means z is less than equals to 14. If it is less than equals to 14, then these two orbitals will be interchanged. These two orbitals will be interchanged their positions. Sigma 2px goes to here and pi 2pi, pi 2pz comes here. Now according to this theory, if we draw the MOT, molecular orbital representation of the B2 molecule. Now we know that atomic number of boron is 5, so total Z equal to 10. Therefore the configuration becomes, electronic configuration becomes sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, because it is less than equals to 14. This condition follows in case of B2, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, pi 2py, pi 2pz at first, then sigma 2px. Now 10 electrons, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. This is the actual electronic configuration according to the MOT theory of the B2 molecule. Now the bond order, if we calculate the bond order, that means the number of bonds in between two boron atoms. So bond order can be calculated by using this formula, half of number of electrons in bonding MO minus number of electrons in anti-bonding MO. So how many electrons are there in bonding MO? See that 2, 4, 5, 6. So 6 electrons are in bonding MO. So residual 4 electrons are in anti-bonding MO. So there is only one bond in between two boron atoms. But as the valence shell contains 2 unpaired electrons, so due to the presence of unpaired electron, it is paramagnetic in nature. That means weakly attracted by the magnet. This is paramagnetic in nature. Again, if we explain the magnetic property of the oxygen by using this theory, if we explain, then the total atomic number, that means Z of oxygen, is equal to 16, which is greater than 14. Therefore the sequence becomes sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, sigma 2px, because it follows this configuration, not change. So sigma 2px, pi 2py, pi 2pz, and then pi star 2py, pi star 2pz, etc. and so on. So overall total 16 electrons, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, then 15, 16, degenerate orbital according to Hund's rule. So the bond order becomes half, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 minus 6. So this will be 4 by 2, that means 2. So O double bond O, there are 2 bonds, double bond in between 2 oxygen atoms, and the magnetic property, due to the presence of 2 unpaired electrons in its valence orbital, it is paramagnetic in nature, weakly attracted by the magnet, which cannot be explained by the gravity. Now it is explained by the molecular orbital theory. So this is all about the covalent bond.